Let's be honest, this video, the Village Inn video, probably won't solve the Bryon Macron case. But what it will do is show you just how broken the official timeline really is. Because the version Medina County sold to the public, it wasn't built on evidence. It was built on guesswork, assumptions, and convenience, all wrapped up in a bow and called closure. Today, we're walking through one of an overlooked piece of this evidence, the Village Inn surveillance footage. Not because it gives us every answer, but because it exposes how few real questions were ever really asked. When you put the pieces together, not the story Medina County sold, but the facts they tried to bury, a very different picture emerges. You have a nearby family just up the street, up the hill, reporting they heard what sounded like a violent struggle around 4 a.m. A struggle loud enough to wake them from sleep. And you have 2 separate witnesses who later found a bloody area behind the Oaks Lodge, a stain no one bothered to test, really document, or even attempt to explain. And just a stone throws away, if you're a pretty good pitcher, you have Bryon Macron's SUV abandoned near the beach with no sign of him, and no sign that anyone even looked for him properly that morning. All of it, the noise, the blood, the abandoned vehicle, clustered within a few hundred feet of each other. But here's where I need to stop and say something important. I was just speaking with someone I respect, someone sharp, someone who knows how to assess facts, and they said, it doesn't fit the timeline. And you know what? They're absolutely right, but for the wrong reason. Because the timeline they're referencing, the one that Medina County seared into the public record, is a timeline built on fiction. It was created not from solid evidence, but from a sequence of unchecked assumptions, missing data, and flat-out lazy police work. The timeline that's been accepted, and I use that word lightly, was based on a faulty investigation, and not just faulty. If you take nothing else away from this series, take this. What happened in this case wasn't a mistake. It was negligence. It was a willful indifference dressed up as procedure. It wasn't cutting corners when the corners mattered most. They didn't verify the surveillance timestamps. They didn't cross-check footage from neighboring homes. They didn't lock down the scene when evidence, blood evidence, was sitting in the open. They didn't even properly track the movement of Bryon Macron's own vehicle. So yes, it doesn't fit their timeline because their timeline was trash. What does fit is this: a 4 a.m. struggle heard by a nearby resident, a bloodstain behind a local business that nobody tested, and an SUV appearing not long after parked in a spot with no surveillance of who got out, or if anyone ever did. A search that didn't begin until hours later, and that was a half-assed search, after the most crucial moments had already passed. The timeline doesn't need to be rewritten. It needs to be rebuilt from the ground up, based on facts, not convenience. Based on what happened, not what they hoped would slide. And tonight, we focus on one more critical piece they mishandled: the Village Inn surveillance footage. Another smoking gun that somehow conveniently got lost in the smoke. But before we move forward, let me say this. I know there is a lot of other stories that Tentacle Nation wants me to cover. And believe me, I see the messages, I get the tips, and I hear the calls for attention on other injustices too. You're not being ignored, but this project, the Bryon Macron case, is simply too important to let up on. We're uncovering evidence and exposing patterns that go far beyond one missing trustee. This is about a system and a county that seems more committed to preserving its image than pursuing truth. So here's the plan. In order to be fair to everyone and still give this case the relentless scrutiny it demands, I'm committing to putting out 2 shows a week moving forward. One will continue pushing this case forward. The other will shine a light on other stories you've been sending, the ones that also deserve oxygen, exposure, and outrage. Because the truth doesn't wait, and neither can we. And I guess this is a decent time to interject this. Before we dive deeper into the Village Inn surveillance footage, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the overwhelming number of tips we've received regarding the officer-involved shooting that occurred on April 16th, 2025 at the Staples store on West 117th Street in Cleveland. This incident involved two Medina County Sheriff's deputies and resulted in the death of 47-year-old Andre Dwayne Lamont Martin during a purported federal narcotics investigation. If you've followed my platform for any length of time, you know I'm all about promoting the good police narrative. I will always stand behind good police work. However, I also believe transparency is critical to building and maintaining that trust. And frankly, I find it a bit suspect that the full body camera still hasn't been released. From everything I've seen so far, nothing has been made public showing what happened immediately before or during the actual shooting itself. And that raises real suspicions. As I posted on my Facebook page, my philosophy has always been simple. When an officer-involved shooting occurs, you release the footage. Ideally, the same day, or at the very latest, the next day. Full footage, not cherry-picked snippets. That's how you build credibility. That's how you respect the public's right to know. And that's how you keep faith in the badge. While our primary focus tonight is on the Bryon Macron case, I want everyone to know the Staples shooting and the issues it raises will be getting a full review in an upcoming segment. So we're talking about the evidence breakdown, the Village Inn surveillance footage. And let's start with what the Bureau of Criminal Identification, BCI, actually did with the Village Inn video. BCI didn't confirm anything. They didn't say it was Bryon Macron's car. They didn't say it was anyone's car. Their report shows that they took the surveillance footage, ran it through an enhancement software, brightened it, slowed it down, tried to sharpen the image, and highlighted vehicles of interest. But in all that processing, not one word confirming that it was Bryon's SUV. Not one frame identifying who was driving it. Not one image showing anyone getting in or out. In fact, the BCI reports were crystal clear about something else. They stayed out of the who and what questions completely. Their job was technical, enhance that video. They left the assumptions to the Medina County Sheriff's Office. And when it comes to assumptions, no one leaned harder into them than Detective Jim Cartwright. Cartwright stated in his reports that the SUV captured of the Village Inn footage was Bryon Macron's vehicle. How did he know that? Not because he saw a license plate. Not because he saw Bryon in the car. Not because a forensic analysis confirmed it. He just decided it. In his own report, Cartwright admitted they couldn't see who was driving. He admitted there was no pedestrian seen entering or leaving the SUV. And he admitted that the camera angle was bad. But somehow that was good enough for him to declare the SUV belonged to a missing township trustee who would later turn up dead in Chippewa Lake under what they still call undetermined circumstances. When you step back, the problem becomes obvious. Instead of following the evidence, they fit the evidence to their theory. I need to repeat that. Instead of following the evidence, they fit the evidence to their theory. It was easier to call it Bryon's car, easier to say nothing looks suspicious, and easier to push the story forward. But easy doesn't mean right. And in real investigation, assumptions get people killed. Or in this case, they make sure the truth never gets a chance to surface. They didn't follow the evidence. Let's be very clear. Real investigators don't work backwards. You don't start with the ending you want and then force every fact to fit inside it like a bad jigsaw puzzle. You follow the evidence, even if it's messy, even if it's inconvenient, even if it points somewhere you don't want it to go. I can't tell you how many investigations I was involved with. I thought I had figured it out, and I didn't allow that to blind me. You don't go down an investigation with blinders on. You always keep an open mind. You always question the theory that you were running and the possibility that it might be something else. And I can't tell you how many times, with my experience on homicide investigations, that I was going in one direction and all of a sudden one piece of evidence said, hey, wait, you need to stop and go this way. That's what a good investigator does. But in Bryon Macron's case, Medina County didn't follow the evidence. They bulldozed right over it. When the Village Inn video didn't show what they needed, no clear driver, no one walking in or from the car, no plate, they didn't stop to ask what that meant. They didn't expand the search. They didn't freeze the scene. They didn't canvass every neighboring camera or call in a forensic video expert to enhance beyond basic filters. They didn't attempt to identify any of the other vehicles that were there, the other drivers, the 2 school buses that you will also see on this video. Instead, they treated the gaps in evidence as permission to declare the case closed, not signs that they needed to dig deeper. The moment the facts got inconvenient, they stopped investigating. They started inventing. They told the public and Bryon's family that the SUV seen at the Village Inn was his, even though no human being was visible driving it. They told the media that no one suspicious was seen around the car, without explaining that the cameras never even captured a pedestrian to begin with. And worst of all, they treated the mere appearance of the SUV like it was enough to explain away everything else. The bloody administration building, the planned meeting Bryon never made it to, and the body found months later in Chippewa Lake, nearly in perfection, with no or early stage of decomposition, contradictions between the Cuyahoga County Medical Examiner and the Medina Coroner's Office. I'm going to put my money on the Cuyahoga County Coroner's Office about this, all right? I've seen the photos. His body was in early stages of decomposition. It was almost perfectly preserved. Following the evidence would have meant treating the Village Inn video as a starting point and not a finish line. It would have meant asking harder questions, demanding clearer answers, and holding themselves accountable to the man they claimed to be searching for. Instead, they built a house of cards, and now every piece of real evidence we look at, every missing image, every unanswered question, shakes it even more. So, what the cameras really showed. Now, let's walk through the actual surveillance footage recovered from the Village Inn. We're not going to go second by second, and we're not going to go vehicle by vehicle. But before we begin, it's important to make something very clear. The timestamps on this footage are not accurate. Just like with the Stevenson residence footage, the clocks on these surveillance systems weren't properly synced. In fact, the inconsistencies in these times make it even more critical to analyze what we can actually see, not just what allegedly happened, but what happened and how it connects. Because what this footage does is shows a series of unexplained vehicle movements, people walking, lights turning on and off, and the moments that directly contradict the official narrative, all clustered around Bungalow Bay and Longacre, right near where Bryon Macron's car was later found, right near the location that the blood was found, and right near the location where residents heard a struggle. Now, again, I'm not attempting to toot my own horn on this timeline, all right? But this is something, it's not just me trying to pick fights here, all right? It really isn't. This is something that a basic police officer investigator does when they are watching a video. It is something that preserves and memorializes their thought process and what is happening with the investigation, all right? So this is my observation timeline. I went through minute by minute and watched every piece of video that the Village Inn offered. And these are my observations. I can't even remember, honestly, how many observations are noted here. And this is from one camera. I think it's camera 4. There are a couple different angles. I did watch all of them. I watched every angle. I watched every piece of footage. And I'm pretty confident that camera 4 is going to display the majority. And again, I don't want to tie up and have a lot of bandwidth where there doesn't need to be bandwidth. And I'm not trying to steer this. That's why I have the Discord server. And that's why I put this up on the Discord server so other people can go in and look for yourself. Don't ever think that I'm trying to steer you to watch something or in a particular way. All right. I might highlight something, but don't ever think that I'm blindly or that I'm attempting to get you to blindly follow me. I am going to put, I was just having a conversation with one of the administrators that assists me in helping the Discord server, and they can't find the Village Inn video, so I need to make certain that it is up there, and I will make certain that it's up there. But the video should be there, and I'm hoping that it plays. It plays okay for me. Again, and I have a Mac, so that's more than some of the videos that we have gone through, and I have difficulty getting them to play because they're proprietary. You need like an exe file on a PC to do so. So again, this is my timeline that I brought up, and this is sort of what we're going to be going through. All right, and some of them have nothing. There's some of these folders here, nothing observed. And again, don't take my word for it. Go back and look at them yourselves. Maybe I missed something. I am human. I'm not again, it's not about me being right. It's about the truth coming out. I am the facilitator of hopefully the truth coming out. I don't have to be right. All right. If someone else is right, I will give you full credit if you want it. Some people still want to fly under the radar. I give a lot of props to folks all the time, and they don't want their names actually mentioned, which is fine. But I don't want people to think, hey, this actually is my idea, or I found this. I believe in teamwork, all right? I don't have to be the one that finds it. I don't have to be the one that's right. All right, so again, this is the timeline that I came up with. I will also post this timeline in the Discord, probably under this week's Discord thread. I'm going to put this timeline up, all right? But we're going to go through, and we're going to look at some of this stuff here, and we're going to go from there. All right, so I'm just showing everybody here. We're breaking this down here. I have 4 screens in my studio. One of these days I have to probably do like a sideways filming just so everybody can see as my studio is growing here. My studio, a.k.a. my formal dining room. The people have asked me sometimes, I get lost, befuddled. My mouse is somewhere on one of the 4 screens, and I have no idea where it is, so I have to figure out where the mouse is. But what I'm showing here is the first file name. All right, this is going to be slightly different because I'm not using the Google Drive. I'm just using the raw file. I find sometimes that there is a lag because of the internet, and I just, when I'm recording, I want to make sure that it's all up to snuff. But if you look here at the top, I will try to make certain that I put the file, all right? I'm just going to refer to them as the last couple, file numbers here. So I actually accidentally and inadvertently pulled up the last file, I think. So this is the one that I want. All right, so you can see the last 4 is 0955. All right. And again, just so you can see my timeline here. All right. 0955. All right. These times are not correct. Again, this is just the time that's displayed on the video. All right. But I'm gonna show this. This is the first video. And this is just a vehicle that's initially traveling east, and it ends up turning into the Village Inn parking lot. And again, the reason I show these is because I'm hoping that somebody identifies, because these videos are potential witnesses. They may not have seen anything, but they may have. And so the whole point of me showing this is because I'm hoping somebody is able to identify or say, hey, that's my car. All right, so the time that we're looking for, I documented is the time that is up here in the left corner. And apparently you cannot see it. I'm glad that I looked. You cannot see that apparently when it's maximized. So, all right, so we can't maximize it. But we're at 610 here now. All right, so I'm looking for around 612, 14. So we're going to slide the bar 612, 14, and we're going to start there. Now, again, just for folks that are not from the Chippewa Lake area, this is Long Acre, and if you were to, you'll see cars. I'll point them out, but hopefully you can see my mouse here. If you are traveling west on Long Acre, and I really hope I have my directions correct, all right? I think it's west. That's what I'm going to refer to the traveling of this way towards the lake is west from here on out. And this is east going away from the lake. I hope my directions are correct. But anyways, if you travel west this way, literally just 2 blocks, I think, that's where Bryon's car is, down here at the beach. All right? You can't see it on this video, obviously. All right? Here, this road here is Bungalow Bay. All right? It circles around and goes back west. And again, it also pushes up against the beach, but it's higher elevation. It's like on a hill. This drive is the Oaks Drive. All right? That's the restaurant. So if you were to turn down this road and go down, that's the Oaks Restaurant Drive. And that is where the blood was found, essentially. You go all the way down this drive, and again, you curve to the west. Okay? And actually, let me hang on. All right, sometimes I forget about technology. All right? I'm trying to put this somewhere where it's not completely blocking. All right, so this is the Village Inn here that we're looking at. All right, boop, you can see Village Inn. All right, that's that building right here, Village Inn. All right, now this road is Bungalow Bay, which is this road here. All right, Bungalow Bay again circles around and is up a hill. And this is right here is where Bryon's car was. All right, so this road, the main road, if you keep going west, right, which is this road, it goes right to where Bryon's car was on Beachside Boulevard. All right, at the beach. There's a beach there. All right, Bungalow Bay, that road turns and goes west. And again, that's where Bryon's car is. Now let's add one more point, which is this drive, the Oaks Drive. All right. So the Oaks Drive is right here. That goes down this way. All right. And again, it also turns west to get into the Oaks parking lot. And again, blood over here. I don't think the drive specifically has anything to do with it. It could. I don't know. But my point was just trying to give orientation, right? So this road, Oaks Road, goes down this way, goes west, and you know where the blood is found is over in this area. Whoop, I think it's more this area. All right, you have this road, which is this road, Bungalow Bay, that circles all the way around. It's actually a big circle and comes back around, and there's only one way in, one way out of this. I know it looks a little confusing and deceiving on this map, but I assure you, you turn in here, there's one way in, one way out. The Oaks is one way in, one way out. And then you have Longacre, which is this road. And again, Longacre goes all the way to the beach where Bryon's car was. All right? So, always forget about technology. This is our first video. Again, this vehicle just pulls in. And you don't see anything that happens to it. So I don't know if they went into the Village Inn there. As we just saw on the map that I just closed, and I didn't even honestly know this, apparently this road actually circles around the building and comes out probably outside of the camera view on the other side of Longacre here. So I didn't know that before. So I don't know if this vehicle is parked by the Village Inn at this point, or if it has circled around and come back out on the other side of Longacre. Don't know. Right? But that essentially is the only thing that we observe in that video. So the next couple of videos, 1, 2, you have no activity that I've observed. 2652. That's what we're looking at. All right. And at 2652 at 6:27:43. Remember, you can't see the time here. 6:27:43. We're just going to fast forward. You're going to see a vehicle right there. You see its headlights. It is traveling east on Longacre. All right. And again, there's nothing nefarious necessarily about the vehicles, or there could be. There could be something nefarious about these vehicles. The point is no attempt was made to identify anyone or anyone in these vehicles, which is slightly disturbing. So the next two videos, I didn't observe anything. That's 2325, 2629. Didn't observe anything. We're going to go to 0342 and bring up that. And with this video, we are looking. This is going to be a vehicle that's traveling west on Bungalow, west on Longacre, and turns on Bungalow, and that's at 8:06:50. Yep. All right. Now, you might be asking yourself, what is the timeline? What times did the officers pull this video for? And I would love to share that information with you if I had it, but I don't have it. I have no idea what time this is. Right? Other than when the school bus arrives, we sort of have an approximation because we can synchronize the two locations between the Stevenson video, which the time is also incorrect off of that video. So it's frustrating, honestly, because you have the evidence that we do have is faulty, and it's often how it is in an investigation. But the only thing I can synchronize is when with the school buses and the pickup truck that we're going to talk about here at one point. But at this point, I'm not exactly certain when they requested this video or for what timeline. So we're going to go to the next video, which is 0819. I don't know why it keeps snapping like that up there on me. And we are looking for 80924. So this is another vehicle that's traveling west on Longacre that turns onto Bungalow Bay. And I'm letting it play through just so you can see how the cars are winding around, because at certain points you're going to see headlights over in these houses where cars are pulling into these houses. So the next couple of videos, 1417 and 1906, I did not observe anything. We're going to go to 2014, and we are looking for around 822. 18. You can see her there. It's going to be a vehicle on Bungalow Bay. You can see it over here. Now, this could have been the vehicle that just pulled in. I have no idea. It's very hard, and I will be the first to admit, when my shortcomings. I am not a car person. I'm not that car guy. All right? I'm not able to readily identify cars. So if you are able to identify these cars, please do so in the comments of this video or the Discord server. Please let me know the vehicles that you think they are. If you could reference the file number, that would be great, or the time, that would be great, just so I know what vehicle you're talking about. 2613 and 3654, I did not observe anything. We're going to go to 3808. 3308, we're looking at around 84014. This vehicle is just traveling westbound on Longacre. And folks, this is the excitement, and I'm sparing you like a lot of time because I was watching this essentially in real time to see all sorts of things, and you're going to see like you can sort of fast forward and skip through on some of these videos, but you miss a lot of things. You miss, there's times when lights, like actual lights are going on, people are walking and stuff. You miss those things if you're just fast forwarding. So I am saving you the belabor of that. But again, you're more than welcome to. You're more than welcome to go back and watch these videos for things that perhaps I've missed. So the next one's 4407 and 0408, nothing. 0756, I observed nothing. 44913, I observed nothing. We're going to go to 4945 at around 9:52:32. And this video looks like it has a couple of different things. 9:52:32. All right. We're going to have a vehicle traveling west on Longacre, turns onto Bungalow Bay. And I did put some of these cars through AI to see if AI could identify them. And AI feels that this may have been a Ford Edge or a Chevy Equinox. But I have no idea. It gives you a data range of what it feels the accuracy is, and it's not very high. There's also another one, 9:56:30. I'm sorry, I guess that's the next video. I thought it was on this video. We're going to go to 55:44, and we are looking for, it wants to snap at the top, which then you can't see the times. I don't know why it's doing that. All right, so 56:30 is what we're looking for. Well, looks like there's a car pulling out. Oh yeah, I guess at 9:56:30. There you go. You can see the headlights coming back. So this one, in my opinion, it seems like it slows down maybe by the mailbox up here. You guys can let me know what you think. Sort of pulls over on the other side of the road there. I don't know what he's doing. He's got his, and if you look, they've got their interior light on. They sort of sit there for a hot second, and then they turn westbound on Longacre. The other thing that I found interesting on this video is if you watch this house over here, I think it was, you're going to see headlights, and I don't know where the headlights are coming from. Please let me know what you think in the comments. I'm going to just fast forward to here. It's at 10 even 40 there. Watch this house. There's like headlights that come on. And they sort of go away. And I don't know. I know there is a road that's running parallel, but it's a pretty high fence over here in the driveway of the Village Inn. And I don't think that, I don't know, maybe the lights can go all the way through. But I was never able to figure out what the origin of those lights that hit that house. All right, we're going to go to 0141 next. And with this one, we're going to go to 10:06:11. This is going to be another vehicle coming off of Bungalow Bay that turns east onto Longacre. All right, and that was that's all I have for that video. We're going to go to 0740 next, and we are looking at 10/11/35. You can see the headlights over here coming up. A vehicle traveling eastbound on Longacre. It appears to me to be an SUV. Or is this the right? Am I in the right video? Yeah. I'm looking at the timeline. All right. And for 1338, we are looking for about 10/19/29. All right, so this is actually the same vehicle that was actually in the previous clip. We were looking at file 1338, and now we are looking at file 1935. This is at 10/19/34, 35. So this is actually the same vehicle. All right, and that's it for that file. All right, so I thought that I was screen sharing a second ago, but I wasn't. So we're back on, what is it, 4330 at 10:45:04. We've got this vehicle on Bungalow Bay coming across. The only other excitement, and again, if somebody knows this car, it'd be nice. But the only other excitement on this video that I observed is 10:48:30, the upstart light turns on, and then at 10:48:33, light turns off. All right. I'm not going to belabor you with that. We're going to go on to 49:29. And we're looking at 10:51:39. Got a vehicle coming up from the beachside area on Longacre. It's going east on Longacre. See the headlights there. But this just also solidifies, you've got these original statements from Connie Wills, who's saying that she's the only person out around this time. And again, granted, I'm not exactly certain what time we're looking at, but there's just all sorts of activity all over the place. 55:28. $10:55:39, and this is the house right here in the front. I think that essentially the garage goes up, I think, and a vehicle pulls out. All right, so I'm going to move on to a couple of important vehicles that I feel that are important. The vehicle that Cartwright believes to be Bryon's vehicle, I want to show that. I want to show, again, the school buses and the pickup truck in particular, because it's in close proximity. The pickup truck is in close proximity of the vehicle. If we concur or if we agree and you believe that it was Bryon's vehicle, the pickup truck is right around that time. So I think that that's important to look at. So we're looking at file 2522. And this is the vehicle that Cartwright believes to be Bryon's vehicle. And again, all of these, I just confirmed myself. All of these are in the Discord. I'm putting the timeline up. You're more than welcome to review each and every vehicle. I wanted to give you a format of what you were looking at. This footage is a lot better than the Stevens residence. So that's a good positive thing. All right, so we're looking at 11:26:49. And you can see the headlights back there. I'm going to back it up to about right there. So you see the headlights already coming up. This is, again, they believe to be, or Cartwright at least, believes to be Bryon Macron's vehicle. All right, we're going to back this up a little bit. 46, we're going to go up here. We're going to change the playback speed to half, and we're going to play it through again. Now, I can't see anybody in that vehicle. I don't know who's in the vehicle. It's also interesting right there. I don't know if anybody saw. I don't know exactly why whoever's driving, he, she, why they're braking. You can see the third tail light coming on right here, and I'm not exactly certain why. And then they let up essentially right there. All right, so that is the vehicle that Cartwright believes to be Bryon's vehicle. And it could be, could not be, who knows. All right, so the time, again, we're looking at 11:27. That vehicle just passed. There was another clip, and again, I don't know what the actual times were. There was another clip at 11:33, and then there's this vehicle here, 11:33:48. This is the pickup truck that we saw on the Stevens residence. A couple of you had included what kind of vehicle you thought it to be. And this is going to be on the file 3120. 3120 is this file. All right, here we go. At about 48 seconds, there you go. You're going to see the headlights starting to appear there. This is the same pickup truck that, if you believe that to be Bryon's vehicle, from the Stevens residence going back and forth, you see this truck pass Bryon's vehicle essentially right as he gets there. Right as Bryon gets to the beach. This truck is there. This guy, girl, whoever it is, in my opinion, is critical. And they may not have seen anything, but they may not have been paying attention. But the fact that nobody has even attempted to look out for this guy or girl. So again, some of you have commented what kind of vehicle you thought it was. If you know, please comment and let me know. So again, this is the first school bus, if you remember, from the Stevens residence. So this bus would have made its way down Beachside, turned up Longacre. And we are on file 4917. And we're looking at about 11:50 is the time we want. Now again, this is the school bus that had Cartwright even examine any of these videos. This school bus, purportedly by the district, had cameras on the outside. All right, that's the first school bus. Now there's a second pickup truck that I want everybody to look at because it's pretty identifiable, I believe, and has cab lights on. And again, it's coming. eastbound on Longacre. So it's coming from the direction of where Bryon's car is, if you believe that to be Bryon's car. That's his vehicle is down there, and this vehicle is coming from that direction. And I think that this is identifiable. This person has cab lights on their truck. Let's go back. I'm going to play it at half speed. All right, again, I don't want to take a lot of bandwidth from the show. There are a lot of vehicles, a lot of potential witnesses. I'm hoping somebody might recognize some of these vehicles is what I'm hoping for. All right, please feel free to leave in the comments. Go to the tip submission page on my contact sheet. I'll put it right here. Click on this. There's a tip submission sheet. If you know any of these vehicles, all right? Even if it's your vehicle and you don't want to really identify yourself, hey, this is my vehicle, whatever. So I appreciate that. I hope, again, people will go on Discord, look for the files themselves. Don't take my word for it. And we're going to come back here in a second. So again, if you have a tip, a theory, or a case suggestion that needs a spotlight, you can reach out through our contact page, and that's again at links.the_infamous_ex-chief. I don't think the last period is needed. I'll again, boop, right here, put it up here, QR code you can scan. If you want to join the ongoing discussions where we don't just talk about these cases, but actively work to solve them, check out our Discord community. Again, it's on the contact link, Discord community. The truth doesn't surface on its own. It takes people willing to dig. So where does that leave us? A surveillance video with no confirmed driver, a vehicle seen but never truly identified, a timeline built on assumptions, and an investigation that seemed more interested in closing a case than solving one. But Bryon Macron didn't deserve to vanish into a narrative. He deserved the truth. And so do we. Because when public agencies start skipping steps, rewriting timelines, and ignoring the inconvenient, it's not just one case that breaks. It's the entire system that fractures underneath it. And now we're left to wonder, was any of that traffic that morning connected to Bryon's disappearance? Was one of those vehicles a witness? A participant? Or just someone who saw something they didn't even realize was important? Those are questions the Medina County Sheriff's Office never asked. And witnesses they never tried to find. You've seen the footage, you've heard the contradictions, you know what they chose not to see. Now ask yourself, if this was your family, would you accept the version of the story? I won't. And to Nickel Nation, I know you won't either. If you've got tips, theories, or documents they don't want you to see, drop them right here, boop, on my contact link. We've got Discord, we've got a team, and we've got momentum. Be loud, be heard, shake the system until the truth falls out.